New Year, guys. At the time of this video, it's just after New Year 2026. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm actually going to address 3 requests that have been made. And a couple of them are a little off there. The other one's a little more reasonable, I guess, but we're going to do all 3 of them. The first request is from a viewer. I don't remember where it is, but he asked that around this time of year, I usually wear my St. Louis gangster hat, and I haven't done that yet, so he asked that we do that, so I'll be right back. Okay, this is the wrong hat. Hold on. All right, there we go. This is the hat. Back when I lived in St. Louis, I went to a junkyard and actually just found this laying on the ground, and I thought it was kind of cool, so of course I wore it, and come to find out that this is a hat that a lot of St. Louis gang members at the time were sporting, so I'm lucky to be alive, I guess. But then again, I do have a lot of street cred, especially wearing this. Like, who's gonna mess with me wearing this, right? All right, that's the first request. The second request is actually a very unusual one, but a very sincere one. The viewer who made this request is from my paid content channel, and he said he wanted to give a pay it forward Christmas present and pay for 2 subscriptions to my paid channel to just any 2 viewers that I think are deserving or random. So basically, with YouTube's stupid contest rules, we're just going to do it random. Now, don't forget, if you are in a third world country, you can get access to my paid content channel for free. But it is only $3.49 a month still, even after 10 years, no price change. And you get the best of my content that really teaches you step by step how to do a lot of the diagnostics and electrical and computer and stuff like that. The training from that video will be useful in the third request that's coming up. But basically, here's all you got to do. Just leave a comment why you would like your free subscription to Schrodinger's box Quantum Mechanics, and then we're going to randomly pick 2 people from that and give free subscriptions. I'm actually not going to have that viewer pay for the subscriptions. There's complications with that. I'm just going to give them to you for free. But also, if you are in a developing country, you do get free access to my channel. Just email me and we will validate your location, and then we'll give you free access. All right, that brings us to our third and final request we will cover in this video, and that is going to be an actual application of the Vdiag tool, the V500pro, that we reviewed not only on this channel a while ago, but also on my tool review channel. The viewer's name, I believe, was Noah Adim. And Noah said that he bought the V500 tool as a result of seeing the review on the tool channel. And he wanted to maximize his use out of it and see an example of where you would use the oscilloscope for a diagnostic process. And we're going to go ahead and demonstrate that today. This will be the thing is that with the V500 tool here, that oscilloscope function, it's a single channel oscilloscope that has really limited features, but it just so happens to be this car that I'm working on today will have easy access to something that I think might be a practical application, that if you didn't have any other oscilloscope and you knew your basics of variable valve timing and cam and crank sensor diagnostics, which if you don't, you get that from my paid channel and you master it after one viewing. The videos are very, very designed for beginner level. But if you have those basics down, how would you use the V500 in order to do a more practical diagnostic there? So Noah, we're going to go ahead, and hopefully this will satisfy your desire to see a little more functionality with the V500 oscilloscope in a practical application now that you own it. And Noah says he does love it. And I really like mine. It's just that what I'm going to show you, really, to be honest, would be much better if you had a 4-channel oscilloscope, and you'll see why pretty soon. But we can definitely do some diagnostics and get some direction with the V500 here. It would just be a little bit more cumbersome, and we'd have to do more steps actually. But let's go ahead and take a look over here. All right, on this 6-cylinder Lexus engine, in working on it, I just happened to notice with these wires just sticking out at me, hey, this is a good opportunity to show that one guy an example of the V500 diag tool. So what we're going to do in this video is we are going to pretend that this vehicle had some type of a cam correlation issue that we believe may be due to the variable valve timing. And we're going to be able to determine, does the variable valve timing work using our V500 tool here? All right, now to simplify this application, we are going to use bidirectional scan tool, but for what we're going to do, we wouldn't actually even need the bidirectional scan tool. I'm just going to use it so I don't have to run back and forth to the gas pedal on the car here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start this car. All right, and in this application, our concern is the intake cam VVT solenoid may not be functioning on this car on bank 1. That's going to be our example. Let me get out of here and let's reestablish communication here. Okay, we are going to go to the engine here and we are going to go to active test, and I am going to choose VVT bank 1. Now again, we cover all this in my paid content channel so anybody can understand this. Assuming we know what we're doing, we want to make sure that we are getting control to this VVT solenoid. That's our first step. So if we look here, we've got our VVT valve timing bank 1. If it does not specify exhaust, it's going to be for intake by default. We need a custom list here and we want to pull relevant data. What I really want is a duty cycle. Hopefully there's a duty cycle here. Okay, now again, we don't need the scan tool for what we're going to do here. I'm just doing this for you guys that want to follow along to validate the data. That's all this is for here. It is totally not necessary. Really would like to get some duty cycle for the VVT here. All right, there's a control status there. Okay, here we go. There's a change angle. That would be good, and duty cycle. All right, I think that's all we want right here. Okay, and what this is going to allow me to do is to change the camshaft angle by controlling the duty cycle of the VVT solenoid. The first thing is that there should be some baseline control of the VVT solenoid at idle, all right? The question is that command from the computer reaching our VVT solenoid? That's our concern. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our signal wire of our VVT. All right, we're going to turn on our tool here. All right, Noah, this should look familiar to you. We're going to go to the oscilloscope. We're going to press OK. I always like to do transverse. What that does is it moves the screen this way, which gives a little bit longer of a time base visible there, like that, as opposed to if it was a crossways, it would be very short. And what we want to do is we want to connect up to our signal wire and look at our signal on the oscilloscope. All right, as we can see, this is pretty useless right now, other than the fact we can see there is clearly a duty cycle control to this VVT solenoid, so we know we've got signal at least. Now we can do a couple of minor adjustments here, and we can spread out our time frame. Now one of the real challenges here is that there is not a trigger on this, and that I'm going to say is really kind of a problem for this, but we can still make do. We can still make do here. All right, so that's going to be 2 zoomed in. I think something like that is going to be more useful for our application. And let's see if we can bring down our voltage a bit. And I just want to bring our voltage within range here because this is actually a 12 volt system. And we can bring our 12 volt in scale there. And basically what I want to do is I want to change the duty cycle for the VVT solenoid, and I want to verify that that signal is getting to my solenoid. All right, right now it does look like it is, but what I can do is I can either go to my scan tool and I can add duty cycle, and we can see the change in our oscilloscope as we are clearly increasing the duty cycle there. Let me zoom in on that, and I'm going to dim the lights just a bit. Okay, now I'm going to move it back quickly, and we can see the duty cycle reduces quite significantly. Looking at the scan tool, we can see our duty cycle increasing 34%. Clearly, we have that represented on our scope up here in the left corner. Now, without a scan tool, obviously I could do this by just simply hitting the accelerator pedal. So all these guys, oh, this guy's got a bidirectional scan tool. All right, well, most of the time I've had my channel, I didn't have one, all right? So we would do things by either adding voltage manually to this, or we can command the computer to do it by using the gas pedal because we know the system, all right? But the point of this is we can see, is this a computer control issue to the solenoid? Absolutely 100% not. If we have an issue that the cam timing is not changing from the intake cam solenoid, either we have a bad solenoid or we have some mechanical issue with a phaser or something like that. Now, how can we tell that the cam is changing? We can tell from our scan tool for sure. We would also be able to do that with our V500 tool. Now, it would look like we could just use right here. This is obviously a cam position sensor, but the problem is we know how the VVT system works. That is not going to change with cam angle. There will be another cam sensor on the back of the engine that unfortunately I cannot very easily reach. But what we could do is, now that we've verified that we have signal to the VVT solenoid, we would be able to look and see if cam angle is changing by doing the same exact thing on the cam sensor signal. Now, what we can do for fun is we can go to our cam signal. All right, now I'm not sure which one is the signal though. I'm gonna guess this one. Ah, look at that, there it is right there, okay? All right, we can increase our signal time frame here. Again, one of the challenges here, let me increase that voltage scale a little bit so this looks a little taller. All right, like that. Again, not having the trigger is really a problem here. But what we can tell is we clearly have a good cam signal here. Now, just to show you here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change our camshaft position here using our scan tool. You notice we do not change our signal this time on our cam position sensor. Why? Because that is on the front sprocket of the cam. That is not going to change. The angle of the camshaft changes independent of the sprocket. Again, we talk about that in my video, but we're not going to be able to change that cam signal there. Now, if we were on the cam angle detector, which is the same type of sensor, yes, we would absolutely start seeing a change in these positions, but it might be hard to see without a trigger, however. You see now by having multiple channels on the oscilloscope, checking your signal here at the VVT, checking your cam angle sensor simultaneously would be advantageous, and you're going to have to trigger those signals too to really be able to see them. All right, what if we didn't have a signal here? What if we just tried to read the signal and it's flatlined and we know we're on the signal wire? All right, my next guess would be, do we have a 5-volt reference? So we're going to go over here, and we can see right there we're up at 5 volts. I can change my scale like that, and we see we're at 5 volts. So I know I've got 5-volt reference. What about ground? How's my ground? Well, we can go over here to the ground wire, make contact with my ground wire. I've clearly got a good ground. If I didn't have a good ground, I would see voltage on that, right? So using just the Vdiag tool, if I'm able to measure my 5-volt there, and I know I've got my ground, and there is no signal coming from this Hall effect sensor like that, I'm done. This thing needs a cam position sensor. There would be no question about it. But seeing that actual signal there is absolutely verification that this camshaft position sensor absolutely works. So there's an excellent demonstration of that. Now, one thing we are going to be able to do to change this signal is if we change the RPM of the engine significantly. Now, there are other things that you can absolutely do with the Vdiagtool oscilloscope. You could, for example, very easily look at your throttle position sensor and determine if there's any dropouts or things like that. Usually things with slower signals you can do. You won't be able to do things, however, like analyze an ignition signal or a fuel injector signal or something like that. Look for mechanical movement with the pintle. There's no way you're going to be able to do that with the VDiag tool. A lot of it, even if you were able to get a signal, not having the trigger is very limiting in that regard. But other things, mass airflow sensor signals, things like that, yeah, you would be able to do. There's also some things that you can kind of do with the VDiag tool as well. And one of them would be looking at network signals, surprisingly. Now, it doesn't work very good. And of course, you really want a 2-channel scope to be able to look at like a can high and can low. But let's take a look. It actually kind of works. Okay, so if we have some communication issues or something, if we look here, amazingly, we can see some signal packets there. Now, this signal is this is as best as I can get it. The scope won't go any slower than that. Anything else becomes ridiculous. But we can clearly see we are on a can high network there. And, you know, yeah, it's not the most useful thing. We can also go to a can low up here as well. We can see at least the range of our voltages and the signal packets and things like that. But it's certainly not good if we were analyzing like a signal issue or something like that. The other thing is we could, of course, use this as well. Let me turn off the car. If we go here and measure resistance, we, of course, know that we should have 60 ohms if we've got 120 ohm termination resistors in parallel in the circuit. So let's test that real quick. Looks like I'm going to need a banana jack here. Let's see if we can set something up here that might work. Yeah, I think that might. Let me... All right, there we go there. Go in here. And we've got, well, we've got the car active because of the beeping. But you see we've got 70 ohms there. Obviously, I'm not worried about an open or something on this car. We can do all that with the same tool here. All right, so as you can see, exactly as I described in the review of the tool, both on this channel and the tool channel, the oscilloscope is really more for a qualitative assessment rather than a quantitative or analytical assessment of your signals. So in other words, is the signal present and does it in general look good? As opposed to, can we actually analyze this waveform and look for anomalies by reviewing the data? You really can't do it that much, but as you can see, it absolutely can have application at ruling out issues or ruling in issues that you then have to examine further with some other tools, actually. But it is a good first step, and if it's the only oscilloscope that you have, well, it's definitely better than not having one, as you can see. All right, Noah, hopefully this helped you out. I hope it helped out a lot of other people as well with their VDiag tool or just oscilloscopes in general. And if all this did is make you go, what the hell is this guy even talking about? Well, that's why I have the paid channel. And maybe if you leave a comment, you'll be lucky enough to be one of 2 people to get a free subscription to it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.